Hello everyone. I'm Vishal Kulkarni and I represent the organization called Faber Infinite Consulting. As you are aware, we have been working with clientele across various sectors in Asia Pacific, Africa, and Middle East. We have been operational in the domain of organizational transformation and operational excellence. We have worked extensively with leading organizations from the FIBC woven fabric sector and helped our clients to improve parameters like cost, quality, manpower productivity, equipment performance, and so on. Well, today I welcome all of you to join this series of interviews where we will be talking to industry leaders and getting their views on the world of transformation. I'm pleased to share with all of you that today we have with us a very eminent personality, Mr. Makarand Appalwar, Chairman and Managing Director of MB Industries. On behalf of Team Faber Infinite, sir, we would like to thank you for accepting our invitation. We would be talking to Mr. Appalwar and getting his views on his journey so far. So, let me quickly introduce him to our audience. Mr. Appalwar is an experienced managing director with demonstrated history of working in the specialized polymer processing industry. His skill in business planning, innovation management, strategic planning, and international business. His focus is business administration, management, and operations from, and of course, he has completed his education from MIT USA. Well, how are you, sir, today?
Thank you so much, Vishal. Thanks for the kind introduction. I'm doing good.
Great, sir. Well, my viewers, to tell more about Mr. Appalwar, he's a first generation entrepreneur. So there is something more interesting which I'm sure you will get as a part of this industry interview. And he's a strong believer of innovation. To add, he has set up an innovation lab that has got appreciation from the Ministry of Science and Technologies and has 15 plus patents registered under his leadership for the organization. Thank you once again, sir, for joining us. As we all know, MB Industries is a technical textile-based polymer processing organization catering to various sectors such as pulp packaging, human safety, water conservation, and various other technical textiles-related products. You have a multi-stage process manufacturing organization. This is something which we know about MB, sir. So, but we would like to know more from your side about MB so that our viewers understand the MB in totality, sir.
That's very nice. And just to give you the continuation to your innovation, recently MB has received a Golden Peacock Award for innovative packaging, especially about the sustainable packaging in the 1 ton plus category.
Wow.
So the packaging. So you can see the plaque just behind me is this year's Golden Peacock for packaging, which we have received about 2 weeks back, and
congratulations, sir.
that has been received given to us for our new generation FIBCs. We call it as a reclaim technology, where we use same homopolymer for all the parts which is getting manufactured. So for general people, just try and imagine a car where there are multiple parts, and some parts are made out of rubber, some are plastic, some are aluminum, some are steel. So whenever when the car gets old and somebody want to recycle a car, they have to definitely separate all those parts and then process them in order to get the metal back. But if you imagine a car which is made out of any one metallurgical element, let's say even the wheels are made out of steel and seats are made out of steel and other thing. So we have a technology in MB called texture management, where we can process polypropylene itself in such a way that it can work like a nylon, it can work like a polyester, it can work like a polypropylene with the same homopolymer. So that is probably one of the things which still not many people know about the capabilities of our company. So considering the new world's greater requirement about sustainable packaging, this was one of the very major breakthrough we had in the last few months, where we could create a product using the same homopolymer, that is polypropylene, and create an entire FIBC using that, which ultimately is going to be very, very helpful for our customers in primarily developed economy, because separation of various elements in the developed economy is very difficult. So this has come up very well.
It's a great, glad to hear that. And once again, heartiest congratulations from our side for this great achievement. Thank you, sir. So, sir, what interests me is you are a first generation entrepreneur. You started on your own. After completing your education, you started on your own, and you have created such an empire today, which I have seen actually being when I was there. Of course, this journey I'm sure would not have been so easy with other things. So we'd like to know your journey as such, as a first generation entrepreneur. What prompted you to start a business? How you entered into it? What kind of a struggle you had? And what's your even today challenges as an entrepreneur?
I would say we right from the beginning. I think I started my first business when I was in a fourth standard. My father,
Okay,
somebody
okay.
presented, my father with two chickens, and he gave it
Uh-huh.
to me. He said, "Okay, you raise them," and I could raise them. The chickens used to lay eggs, and then the eggs got another new chicks, and effectively I had around 30 chickens of my own, and I used to start. I started selling eggs, and I used to sell also the chicken. So that was my first business, I would say. Then
Interesting.
using that money, I bought one air cooler. In those days, coolers were not very common. So there was a company near our town called Vox in Nagpur. So I bought one Vox cooler and then rented it to a bank nearby. So I think my mother is one of my largest inspiration. She always wanted me to be a somebody, like, she was not aware that what kind of industry, but she definitely prompted me that I must have some factory. Basically, my both parents were bureaucrats. My father was an IAS officer, and my mother is a doctor. So we didn't add too much of a business background in the home, but my mother always envisaged me that I must go ahead and do something, some entrepreneurial venture. So that fit very fixed in my head. And then when post after my graduation, I decided that I would like to uh, do my own business instead of working for somebody. So in campus placement, I had a couple of offers, and I was selected in a couple of companies, but I decided not to, and started a small trading company where we used to buy bags from some manufacturers in and around Mumbai and sell them in Mumbai market. Slowly, one thing led to another, and I would say in the process, a lot of things happened. We kept on getting more interest, and more people joined us. I think now the organization have around 17, 1800 people who are working with us. And our team, basically, I don't think it's a matter of any one person. It's just a credit what one person gets, but it's never a one person credit. It's always a credit of a great team. So I would thank, and I think as you are working with our people, you can see the way they are much more worried about every possible result than what I am. And we have a great set of people who are working with us, and that helps. That has always been a strength of MB. That people who always connected to us were very dedicated. They understood the subject very well. They were empowered to take their own decisions, and that was story. Slowly, we kept on growing, and we always kept on adding the products. We ensured that there was never a staleness to the product. What I've seen is small businesses cannot sustain because they have a staleness which comes. Because when the product become matured, then the margins come under pressure. And if you don't migrate to next level, or you don't innovate and get a newer product, your margins come into pressure, and then effectively the whole business starts becoming more and more dull, and the growth becomes slower. So we ensure that at least 20% of our revenue definitely comes from the products which are generated in last 2 years. So that has come very handy. So we are always working, means at all the time we have at least 5 to 7 products on the drawing board, 5 to 7 products which are there in the pipeline or prototyping. So continuously there is never a, and we don't shy to phase out the products. So if I start seeing that I'm not making the money of something, so I don't mind stopping manufacturing that. I'll easily take a decision that, okay, yeah, now every Tom, Dick and Harry is making it, and it's too competitive. So I don't want to invest my energy and bandwidth in that, and we stopped the product. So we kind of phased out also lots of product which were not making money for us. So that strength can only happen or come into organization if you have very strong R&D pipeline. So we ensure that we spend around 3% of our revenue, 2 to 3% of our revenue on the R&D every year. And that helps us to keep on getting new products always on the market, and that keeps the company going.
Great, great, sir. In fact, we always talk about this blue ocean and red ocean as a strategy, but I guess you are one of the example of always innovating this blue ocean and moving from when the blue ocean gets red, moving from again red to a new, creating a new blue ocean. So I really appreciate and admire you for that, sir. And it was very interesting to know a journey which has started from selling the eggs has now reached to what stage. So very interesting, sir. Thank you. Thank for that detailed information. Now I come back to your industry, sir, because every industry has certain challenges. So what are the typical challenges which are faced by your industry? Of course, I don't count only the recent times, but overall, if you consider an overall scenario, what are the challenges faced by your industry for the top line as well as for the bottom line? And how you address those challenges in general?
So I always feel, as I said in the previous answer, that I feel that companies are made of the people who are working in them. So if you see the entire polymer processing industry itself in India is not more than 40-45 years old. And because it is extremely fragmented, the sizes of the companies are very restricted. So you will find 90% of the companies are actually below 10 crore operational levels. And only 10% companies are above 10 crore. And there are only 3% companies which are above 100 crore. So the challenge is very less of the educated or expert manpower is available in our sector. Like not many educated or well-paid people want to work with us. So that has created a major, I would say, manpower or a management bandwidth vacuum in the industry. So when you say about top line or bottom line, the whole thing is basically how nicely the industry gets managed. And if it is get managed properly, then you need that kind of people. So if you see, you have visited our company, even our president is not from the same background, like manufacturing. He has come from other sector. He's not from polymer processing. So continuously we have to keep on attracting people who are not from our sector. So in order to take care of this, now we are working very strongly with Indian Institute of Packaging and likes. And I'm actually a chairman of the education committee of Indian Institute of Packaging also. And I'm really forcing them to change the courses connected to polymer processing. So very soon you would see BTech packaging or BTech FIBC manufacturing, that kind of course. So that people or boys or girls who have a focus or interest in packaging would get a formal education firstly. So primarily we'll have to start educating the people. So we are going from a very grassroots. We are taking the affiliations with Bombay University. Recently, one of the courses got also a collaboration with Delhi University, Guru Gobind Singh. So that is the largest challenge of the industry, I feel, that there is no educated staff or manpower at any level available. Everybody is trying to learn from the experiences. It's always good to learn from experience, but then the speed of learning become very slow. And that is why the companies cannot reach to a much larger level. So if you see, still there are very few companies in polymer processing who are crossed 1,000 crores. So that is not a very good sign. Like we'll have to, so by like as an industry body, we have made this as a one of the goals that by 2027 we should have at least 50 companies crossing 1,000 crores in India in the polymer processing. So we're working on that.
Example that even you guys are competing, you are supporting also to each other to grow. That's
it is important, you know, like everybody can miss competition is its own level, but at the same time there is a coexistence, because the days are gone that you can stay alone anywhere. It's the days of collaboration. So everyone will have to do some collaborative efforts, whether you are competing with, you are not competing, and at some level you really co-create the excellence. You cannot decide, and not every organization will have every excellence parameter, but if you decide to co-create, you can pool the resources, you can pool the experiences, and quickly grow, because we don't have time. We are already competing, and I'm not competing with any other, I would say, FIBC or pond lining or technical textile company. We are competing with companies like steel companies or we are
Okay.
competing with the FMCG. Like we have to pull the manpower from there. Like we have to create our make ourselves more attractive than any FMCG or any steel mill or any, I would say, another IT company where everybody feels like everybody must go there. So we'll have to create a situation because they have already established themselves there. So this is the time where we have to bridge the gap. So we have to be quick. We have to be expedited. So that's what we are trying as a whole group of bunch of, I would say, forward-looking industrialists. We are trying this and get our industrial level where we at least have 50 plus companies in 1,000 crore bracket by 2027.
Great, sir. Great. So, one of thing which very few viewers might be knowing is during these tough times, MB also entered in manufactured PPE kits. Am I right, sir?
Yes.
And
Initial
that's
days when the technology challenge was there, we did it. But when
yeah,
it again became a run of a mill, we stopped it because that was not our core competence. But that was the time where nation needed it. So we did it
exactly,
in the initial days. And then when we seen that everybody now can handle it, so we just withdraw it.
exactly. So, but when actually those were needed in much, actually you actually supplied those, and then when the quantities are abundant, then you withdraw. So, what was that secret where you became so flexible to manufacture PP kits, because you were not making it before, and as I understand, the time where you decided and the time you made, that was a very shortest time. So
Yes.
how you made it possible?
No, like the challenge always remains that people define the core competencies of organizations depending on the products. But if you
Mhm.
decide the core competency of the organization depending on the need, the whole picture changes. Like, so when we say that we are a company which is going to do larger good, or if you see our punchline or a logo, we are always, we say brighter every way. So that brighter every way concept is basically all the stakeholders who are connected to us has to be happier, better. And that was the time where everybody was suffering, scared. People were really threatened what is going to happen to them. And the frontline workers were uncertain. How are we going to take care of ourselves? The technologies were not tested. There were very few testing companies or equipments. So what we did is we always had a technology of packing nuclear waste. So we knew that there are certain things which is available with us, or just certain membranes which are available with us, which can hold on to nuclear waste. So now if we can hold on to nuclear waste, the virus was around 300 micron. So we knew that we need a pore size which is kind of smaller than that, so that there is a breathability and a virus has to be stopped. So once that data was available, then it was just a matter of instead of stitching the box, we stitched a suit kind of thing, and then it all happened. So basically, I keep on always saying that we must get married to needs, not to products. So our primary thought is larger good of everyone who's connected to us, whether customers, whether employees, whether society, and that larger good at that time needed that. So that was our intention. Okay, we must do that. And our local government also came up with the request that you are one of the front-running companies in Dadra Nagar Haveli. So that time we were a very small union territory in India. We were not, nobody was looking at us. Nobody wanted to help us because they always had a larger problem like Mumbai or Delhi. They were
Yeah,
really bursting with the problem, or for that same Pune. So we were kind of ignored because we were small and less problematic. But for us, our territory was important. So we decided that, okay, forget about what others are doing. And that time, transportation was not happening. People were not traveling here and there. So we decided, okay, let's make it locally. We fixed it, got it tested. We had a testing set with our internal this, presented to local government, they approved it, and we moved ahead. And
great,
then later date, there were a lot of companies which started commercially selling and manufacturing it. And we didn't find it necessary that we should engage in that business. So we just moved away from that.
great. So must say that a great service to the nation when actually it was needed, sir. So this continues to my next question, sir. So today everyone is talking about this new or normal where organization needs to be flexible, agile. So how do you think, like, what are these traditional organizations who react to such situation, because they are not used to it? You are used to it. You are always innovating products. So you are very much familiar to it. But there are so many organizations, and as you correctly said, more than 80% of those organizations, which we still call it as a traditional organizations, which are not used to be very flexible or agile. So how do they react to this situation, and what do you think that should be the strategy for them to change their process, or many important the mindset change at their level?
I think in the last thing you nailed it properly. It's all about the mindset change. It's not the process. It's not the people. It's all about the mindset of the people. And like there is nothing like new normal. There was a new normal. There is very famous saying, like change is the only thing which is permanent. So
Yes.
when we are saying that change is the permanent thing, that means every day you are discovering a new normal when there is a change. Now, it has become more fashionable to say that there is a new normal and we have to
Yes.
adopt it and everything. But I think the organizations were continuously adopting it on the way. Now, this is the 1 year where we had a kind of a fast forward. Just if you remember in olden days or even in today's time, when we want to fast forward the movie, there are certain pictures they run very fast, like you can skip almost 20 frames per second or 30 frames per second, and then
Yes.
you reach ahead. So that year 2020 was something like that. We moved that normal speed of change was accelerated for some 8-10 months. That acceleration has to be taken into mind, because we were always changing. Like when we started a company, we had 2 or 3 computers in our organization as a manufacturing company, because we were not using emails. We were having most of the documentation on paper. So there was no need of computer. Probably now, almost we are around 200 staff and we are around 200 computers. So each one of them, there is nothing like a paper documentation. Most of the things flow on computer. So those changes, every one of us adopted, whether small company, larger company. It's only need as well as the aptitude of the management. Some companies adopted it quickly because they needed to, because competition did it, or geopolitical situation forced them to do it. Some companies did it with the time because they had a luxury to stay on the older system, because they were not challenged, compromised because of the newer this. So it is all about sooner or later, everyone will have to do. So how soon and how better you can do, more time you do, you are more experienced. Like these Zoom meetings, probably 2 years back, we were hardly using it only for an international customer, I would say. And I don't think we were using Zoom. We used to use a software called Skype, and
Yes.
used to, use this Skype thing for only the international customers that we used to talk, because there's not frequently visiting. I think domestic video conferencing was at much nascent stage. Now today, in last 10 months, I guess every kid in the country probably is using a domestic video conferencing. So that we have fast forwarded, the technology gap is quickly bridged. Organizations are using this. We are pretty comfortable. पहले ऐसा लगता था कि unless and until I personally don't visit something, it's not going to happen. Now that mindset is gone. Okay, like we can have and the efficiency of the whole work culture has changed. Efficiency has improved. A lot of people started working from home. If I can't come today, my child is unwell, so a lady can sit home, take care of child, but at the same time she can efficiently work because she has all the connectivity at home. So offices and companies become more adaptive. They have started understanding that, okay, physically एक employee यहाँ आके नहीं भी बैठा, he doesn't come and sit here, still he can produce the equal productive this if he desire to. Not that all are doing that. Let me also say that when we talk about this new normal, that is one of the bigger challenge that productive hours, the now researches have started coming, and the effective productive hours which were at 3.10 hours pre-COVID level has dropped down to around 2.08. So it's almost 33% drop in net productive hours. And not that when we used to sit in 8 hours in office, we used to be productive for 8 hours. It was something like 3 hours and 10 minutes. It has
Yes.
gone to 2 hours and 08 minutes.
Oh.
So that all things will have to be taken care. Both the parties, like organizers, employees and employers, both will have to understand that, okay, at least the productivity has to be maintained or increased. And new normals will be more prudent. And
Yes.
someday we'll see something better happening.
Yeah, hope so. Right, sir. So, sir, 2020 is gone. Now we already entered into 2021, and MB is always known for doing something new every year. As you correctly said, that every year you have something new planned. So, what we should expect from MB in 2021?
2021, actually, this is like our year dedicated largely to domestic retail activities. We are coming up with the series of products. The first is we have just launched it 2 days back in Krishik in Baramati exhibition. I was there actually personally. I visited. So it's a very affordable foldable water tank. So the concept is up to 2000-liter water tank is made using just 3 kilograms of polymer. So, and it is completely flexible. It can be folded and packed in a flat, and it can be carried on the scooter or a motorcycle or whatever. And that is a new thing. So MB is coming up with a new chain of multi-brand outlets. So by 2021, we hope that by this year end, we should have 500 multi-brand outlets in Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Punjab and Haryana. And those all stores of Avana would. Plus, there's another interesting, which is a new part for us, was a launch of TV commercial. So from 15th of February, the new TV commercial is going on air. So that's completely new dimension for us. We have been very strong in B2B business, but now this was a B2C business, selecting a brand ambassador, shooting a TV commercial, and all those things. Interesting change. So now from 15th February, we'll go on air on a lot of channels for all our domestic retail business. So I guess retail is the new thing which should change MB's face substantially in next 5 years. That's what we feel.
Wow. So we definitely look forward to that, and definitely looking forward to the TV commercial that will be soon aired.
Yes, sir.
Right, sir. So, sir, this is my last question. Now, as a team Faber Infinite, we have been associated with MB, and we take proud in saying that we are with you, and some or other way we are trying to contribute to the MB journey. So with the way we are working on the areas like waste reduction or production improvement and others. So we'd like to seek your feedback about how do you felt this journey so far, and how does it going?
It was interesting. Like I would say that we have set. If you remember, at the beginning of the assignment, we set certain goals, and we set certain working deadlines. I think 6 months and 9 months, like 6 months plus 3 months of continuity and 3 months of final handover period. So we have almost completed, I would say, 70% of our most of the goals, and all the directions were good. So the boys who are helping us here are really, they are putting their heart and soul, and there is a very good synergy between the team as well as like Faber team is MB's manufacturing. So we could see that like typically in the past what we have seen the problems is when the consultant team come on the board, there is always a belief in the manufacturing or the operations team that ye unka kaam hai, like it is a consultant's job and they are supposed to do it. So I could say, I would compliment you on this, that your boys have completed this assignment without giving that feeling to our team that it is not. They could probably on every single day they could tell that this is your job and we are here to help you to do your job. It is not our job to run your factory better. It is just we know certain things better than you and we are transferring it to you, and it is your job to run your organization better than it is my job. So that has been taken very positively from both the sides, and I think that was very required because many of the people, I'm sure, I don't know what was your experience, but many people from the manufacturing has this experience related issue that whenever consultants get out of their organization, the efficiencies start again plunging. They start going down, and people again go back on the same lethargy. So I'm seeing that at least we are not going back, because in between, because of the COVID, your guys were absent for a while, and then there was also a change in the team. But even all these things, it didn't impact much of the performance. Every day there is a small improvement, but improvement. So that's a good thing. We are happy about it. We keep on talking, and both the parties are very open to criticism. They tell us a lot of things which we are doing wrongly. We also tell them certain things which we feel they are not doing so well. So both the parties take it in a positive spirit. We have a lot of arguments here with your people many times, but that's a very productive and healthy arguments. We spend hours arguing with each other that how it has to be done. But at the end of the day, we come to some conclusion, and in the whole process, we improve ourselves. So that's the best part of it.
मंथन से ही अमृत निकलेगा. Yes.
Yes.
So definitely, thanks for that compliment, sir. It's really encouraging for us when we hear such compliments from a industry leader like you, and this will motivate us also to keep continuing our contribution in this journey. And as you correctly said, it's not about just improvement, but the sustenance is the key. And we
Yes.
also focus a large on that. It's not just improvement we should talk about. We should talk about sustenance as well. Great, sir. So. With this, thank you very much, sir. I can see that you and your team has a very progressive approach, and it is very evident. We are glad that we could connect with you today. It was a very wonderful talking to you, sir. And I thank you and the MBA Industries on behalf of Team Faber Infinite for accepting our invitation and share your thoughts in this interview series. I'm sure our viewers will benefit a lot. Very important things said by you in this journey is innovation is the key. So you should continuously innovate products. Don't just innovate the product, but even take out some of the products which are not giving you the required results or money. Second, very important thing you said is that don't focus on product, but focus on needs, which was very, very powerful. Third, very important thing which you said about is all about the mindset. First of all, if at all something needs to be changed, it needs to be the mindset. And I can see that and this, while knowing MB, the mindset change should start from the top. And you are one of that leading example of that, that you change yourself first and then ask the others reporting to you to change. And
Thank
last
you.
and not the least, of course, the plans of MB for 2021 in terms of the new products, and of course, the first commercials of the MB, which will be aired soon. So thank you for sharing all those insights, sir. Thanks for your time. It was a wonderful discussion, and I'm sure our viewers will like it a lot. We'll keep sharing you the feedback about the feedback that we will receive from our viewers, and they will be definitely would like to interact with you once again in the future. Thank you
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
We really appreciate your contribution to this change and contribution to our improvement, which is going to be for a long, I'm sure. And I appreciate. Thanks for giving me chance to interact with more people. It's always nice and good to understand more views, better things. So thank you so much. Have a great year ahead.
So what could have been the best start of this 2021 for our newsletter, sir, with having you as a first speaker for
Thank
this
you
hour.
so much.
So thank you very much for giving this opportunity to us as well. Thank you very much,
Thanks.
sir.
Bye.